what we call the cell membranes. All right, the cell membranes are supposed to be, impermeable when you eat essential oils, the vegetable oils, and they tell us omega-3, omega-6. They are all a lie. If you go deep into the literature, all those things are not true.
I hope those who listen to this video, if you are involved in farm business or you are actually considering what areas of farm business to go into, will understand that we need to give more priority now to processing of agricultural products than we do to production. It's not that we have already an overwhelming production of agricultural products. It's just that we need to process them also to get more value, to benefit by way of profits those who are engaged in it, and from those profits we can then channel those profits back to expand production. But right now we have a lot of raw materials produced from the agricultural sector that's not been properly utilized by way of value addition. Now what you see in this video you're going to watch now is an example of about 3 examples. I would say you have palm oil, you have palm kernel oil, and you have coconut oil. The professor you're going to listen to is a Ghanaian Professor of Pathology, and he's talking about what the colonialists did to literally make us dump our own natural and more healthy oils and adopt their own less healthy synthetic oils. Okay, the thing you need to understand is that their goal was not to benefit us, their goal was to exploit us as an as a market where they could take their produce and make money off of us. So when they came to Africa, they didn't come with the intention to empower us, to economically develop us. They came with the goal of using us as additional human resources to produce wealth for their economies. And I think that's been apparent over the decades. It's just that for some strange reason we've continued to allow the indoctrination by their propaganda machine to keep us trapped in that psychological prison. So this video here, I believe this gentleman, the message he's preaching here, will help us realize that we need to tear ourselves out of that prison, that mental prison we're in. So let's listen to what he has to say.
When America and the industrial world felt that no, we cannot be buying tropical oils, so we must produce seed oils. They started with corn and had corn oil. But this is an industrial creation. It's not natural. You don't boil corn and get oil on top. But you boil what? You boil palm oil, and you get oil on top. You boil coconut. Coconut, they grate it in Nzema and put it just like we do drying cocoa. And the coconut oil just seeps down. This is natural. But somehow, once they got into the industrial oils, they started propaganda telling us tropical oils are bad. And all of us as scientists and researchers, we just swallowed it, hook, line, and sinker.
Now, if you think about it, you realize how much of an indictment that statement he made at the end there is on us as a people. Because the so-called education we got from the West was the same education they used to sell these ideas to us. So as I said, scientists, researchers and all that, they all swallow the hook, line and sinker, because we've been indoctrinated by their propaganda machine to believe that they have superior knowledge. And so whatever they told us, since we went there to learn, we got the education we're getting from them was better than whatever it was that we knew. That's what we were told. So our researchers, all of them, had that problem of colonial mentality, the feeling that whatever they knew was inferior to whatever the white man was telling them, because they went through the white man's education system. However, traditionally the white man came here to study us before colonialism, and actually found that a lot of things we were doing very, very useful. Then they understudied us and then went back to find an alternative that they could then control. That's basically even down to manufacturing. When you talk of things like manipulation of metals, iron smelting, things like that, it was from us they learned it. But back to my message. So what he said here, I think is very instructive, because it's one of the first things I want to challenge us to do. As a people, the education we got we do not apply our education practically. We are very theoretical learners, and this was deliberate. It was actually the way the Western style education system was designed. It was designed to make us people that just memorized, and we're no longer doing people the way our ancestors were. We used to be very practical, skilled people who were craftsmen in the past. So we were people that used to make our own soaps. The West Africans were the first that made. We taught the Portuguese how to make soap. In fact, they had to actually stifle our markets here, in order to economy here, in order to create a market for their own soaps, because our soaps were being exported to Portugal. Please, if you do, that's why I said another thing you have to do. This video is instructive because it's telling us we need to go and study our history. Why did the white people come here? They didn't come here to help us. They came here to take advantage of us and our resources. Okay, I'll give you another example. Look at there was a time when we were young when it was almost unthinkable for women to be seen breastfeeding. It was considered something like you were backward. Okay, and then what was popular was for people to use baby foods, okay, Cerelac and things like that. They will prepare them, and in feeding bottles you give to your child, and it was like an achievement if you were able to do that. But the reality is today, what does the WHO say? Oh, breastfeeding is superior, colostrum is better, blah, 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 blah. All those things were things our ancestors were doing before the white man came. So why did the white man tell them to stop? Because the white man needed to make money, and they needed additional markets to sell whatever they were producing to. So because they were not keen, they had the movement of the feminists and all that, where the women felt that breastfeeding would make their breasts fall earlier in life, and they wanted to enjoy life more. And then also the need for the industries to make more money, make more profits. They decided to sell the idea to us that breastfeeding was not so good, and that breast milk was not significantly different from the milk they were producing. All right, and so our people swallowed that and began to use baby foods. But over time, the descendants of the ancestors of the white people, of the colonizers, the descendants of the colonizers, did their own research and found out there was a lot of contradiction. It was clear to them that the information we had been given was a lie. So those of them that had the conscience, there was a movement, and then we heard that, oh, breast milk is better. You need to breast milk your child for a minimum of 6 months, blah blah blah. The point to make is this: these people lied to us when they came, and the reason they lied to us was because they wanted to take advantage of us as resource, as human resources, not because they loved us. And they sold religion to us to help that process, because they knew that through religion, because they saw they were very spiritual people that would be easily indoctrinated. And then we just fell flat on our faces. But the argument I'm making now is that with this kind of knowledge we have today, we can fight back. The Asians, the Chinese have done that. The Chinese literally locked themselves up and just reinvented themselves by doing their own thinking. We need to do that. All right.
And today you can't even get coconut oil. But coconut oil, palm kernel oil, shea butter, fantastic. If you can eat it, eat it. I eat it. All right? And I won't come and tell you something that I don't do. I eat it. Because as far as I'm concerned, naturally, that is what nature intended. And those are the oils that form what we call the cell membranes. All right? The cell membranes are supposed to be impermeable. When you eat essential oils, the vegetable oils, and they tell us omega-3, omega-6, they are all a lie. If you go deep into the literature, all those things are not true. All right?
Okay, again, the propaganda machine was used to indoctrinate us, to brainwash us that whatever they were bringing was superior because it was manufactured. So they packaged it in very attractive wrappers and plastics and all that. But the truth of the matter is that if you look at all these products that are natural products, they've been existing way before the white man ever set foot on our premises, on our lands here, and our ancestors were doing well with them, producing them, and they even came and saw that. But again, because they wanted to be in control, they wanted to be the one to leverage the advantage of economies and profits, they decided to bring in their own alternatives, and so they were dependent on their own manufacturing infrastructure. Okay, then made it look like they started telling us what we had was inferior. So they doctored even their research findings to favor themselves. These are things that are verifiable if we are willing to reach. Like the man said, if you just go into the literature, you will see that all this omega thing about it, and it's true. A lot of time, I'll give you another example. They came in with religion and they actually took the Bible. We have museums in America that have this. There's proof of it. There's a slave Bible. The slave Bible actually had sections of it that were simply removed. They were ripped out, and the slave was only given the version of the Bible that did not put into his head any ideas that he had the right to be free. Instead, they were the one that the sections of the Bible that were left in were the one that reinforced the need for the slave to obey the master. If they felt, or they knew, if they were truly sincere in their desire for this slave to be saved like them and go to the same heaven that they were planning to go, they would have left the book exactly the way it was, and they wouldn't have had the version of the book prepared for the slave separately. So it was obvious that it was a tool for control, and that's the argument that we are making here, that those people who came with that kind of mentality, that kind of mindset designed to manipulate you in that way, would never have had your best intentions at heart. So it therefore explains why Africa is where it is today. The white man still is in control because we are still allowing them to use these instruments of indoctrination and propaganda that they've always used. So this gentleman, this professor's message is designed to wake us up to the fact that we have what we need. Like the Rwanda president Paul Kagame always says, we already have all the resources here. It is just us that need to now apply our intellectual and creative abilities to the use of these resources for us to get the results we want. All right. So he talks about palm oil, palm kernel oil, coconut oil, shea butter. I mean, the truth of the matter is that these are things that have been existing way before the white man came, and we're using them, and they offer much more lasting benefits. Okay, and multi-dimensional benefits for that matter. For instance, shea butter is useful in so many ways, even for healing, different of injuries, for dealing with pain, to regrow hair, so many things that shea butter does, apart from the fact that it's used as a cream. Yet we dropped it in exchange for the artificial creams and lotion that the white man produced, because the white man sold that to us. And oh, by the way, even if we were going to resist, we didn't have the means to, because they had already conquered us in terms of on the military level. If you look at what happened in India, for instance, the Indians have woken up today and they've really begun to re-educate their citizens. If you look at what happened with the textile industry, the British attacked their weavers, and the machines, the looms that were used for weaving, were broken and destroyed. The weavers had their fingers chopped off, so they could no longer weave. And then the British forced them, to begin to import textiles from England. That was what they did to create a market for their products. Go and check it, Google it, it's there. And that's why a lot of the Indian scholars today are coming up with books talking about how actually Britain underdeveloped India. India was prospering. They were trading in textiles, they were producing their own textiles and exporting it to different places, including, if I recall correctly, Rome. So it wasn't like India needed help. The British came and took advantage of India's prosperity and then impoverished India in the process. Now we Africans need to understand that they did the same thing to us. What the professor is saying here is valid. We now need to understand that he's encouraging us to take back our future from them, like the Asians have done. The Chinese did it, the Koreans did it, all the Japanese did it. We have to do it for ourselves if we know we want to prosper as a people. And that's what the professor is saying here. Let's go on.
All right. Now, all the work that was done many years ago, Framingham report, the nurses study, all that, they've realized that all those things were particularly dotted to favor the type 3 fats. And now they wouldn't tell you the truth, because as far as they are concerned, their prime responsibility is to their industries and not.
This is worth commenting on. I said it, I hinted at it, and he said it here. The ancestors, the early colonizers, they lied. They told a lot of lies in order to get themselves into the African colonies and really entrench themselves. So they had to lie about the findings, they had to lie about the authenticity of what we had and tell us that what we had was bad, including our religion, Okay, they demonized our traditional beliefs and then brought theirs and superimposed it, because they knew that with that they could control us. So down to what we were eating, what we were wearing, everything, they made us feel like it was all bad. They used their technology, the industrial machinery, to bring in their own types of fabrics, and they forced us to adopt them. Then their descendants have found out that, oh, a lot of these things are not exactly the way their ancestors presented them. But rather than tell us, including the benefits of white racism, rather than admit it openly to us, they rather keep quiet, because they have their loyalty to their own industries. They know that if they do otherwise, the prosperity that they enjoy will suddenly vanish, because then we will take back what is ours and begin to do things for ourselves. And they don't want that, because they know the minute we do that, they will no longer have access to us the way they do currently. And that is why we're in the mess we're in. So we need to adopt a change in mindset. We need to reorientate ourselves if we know we want to be free from this kind of neo-colonialism.
Big Pharma is there. They will provide statins for your high cholesterol. If you eat vegetable oil, your cholesterol goes up, because the vegetable oils need to add up to cholesterol before they can repair your cell membranes. So anybody who eats corn oil, sunflower, all those, canola, all those things, if your cholesterol is high, you know why your cholesterol is high. I'm telling you, that is the reason why your cholesterol is high.
And that's the final point I want to make. The fact that, you see, the Western colonialists, they never brought anything that was designed to benefit us for the long term. Their goal was always to find a way to exploit us and our resources. That included even the medical science they brought. The medical science of the West is not like the other ones for Africa and Asia, that are nature-based, that are designed to grant longevity, or to promote or encourage or develop longevity in the human. These are the medical science they brought. Is the medical science that is designed to manage illness, not to cure illness, because the management of illness provides the opportunity for repeat sales by big pharma, their pharmaceutical industry. The pharmaceutical industry in the West wields a lot of power. That is why you see that even the coronavirus pandemic enjoys the same protection, quote unquote, because you see that there are people in the pharmaceutical industry who are profiting from it. So they create an environment that makes it impossible for a solution that is permanent to be perpetuated for illnesses that are profitable to treat. If you get what I just said now, I'm sure you understand what I mean. And this shows with cancer and some other kinds of illnesses. But even generally, look at malaria. I was telling somebody the other day, I said they found a cure for coronavirus. They produced a vaccine for coronavirus, or multiple vaccines. They have never produced anything for us to use against malaria. Isn't that odd? And they supposedly love us and want the best for us. They come and do research all the time, but they never came up with a vaccine for malaria, even though it's been killing millions annually. That tells you volume. That speaks volumes. So just to round up, the point being made is the big pharma, they promote things that are going to push you toward the need to use their drugs. Look at the lifestyle many of us are living today, where we're consuming tablets and capsules all the time, all these synthetic drugs. Yet there are natural alternatives to many of these things, which, if used normally as part of the diet over time, will make it unnecessary to even have to treat this illness in the first place. But the lifestyle we have adopted, which is the Western lifestyle, has made us drift from those natural therapies, and so we become victim of the same system that the Westerners run for themselves. Unfortunately, we don't have the resources to finance the treatment like they do. So in the process, we're becoming indebted to them. That's why we have to send people to their hospitals and all of that. The only reason why we're having those kind of illnesses that they have is because we are consuming the kind of foods they consume and living the nice kind of lifestyle they live. But if we were to go back to the way we used to be, the way some of our old people still live in the villages, then we will not have these problems. The first step, however, will be for us to return to eating natural foods. And in order for us to eat natural foods, the foods have to be available. So we need to go back to producing them. So the processing of these products, like to generate products like palm oil, palm kernel oil, coconut oil and shea butter needs to be encouraged. So if you're a farm business owner, or you are somebody that's looking at exploring opportunities in farm business, I would like to challenge you. Maybe don't look at the aspect of going to production immediately, or better still, don't look at doing that, just only that. Consider seriously the possibility of processing. Agro processing is actually something that's not been explored as much as it should. And so even though we don't have enough production yet, if we were to go into agro processing, what will happen is that people will be able to make more profits from engaging in agriculture through processing and value addition. Then take the profits they make from there and channel it into more production to increase the production output. We're not doing as much of processing as we should, and so we're not getting as much value from our raw materials as we should, based on our engagement in agriculture. And the professor here has shown us, in my opinion, 4 key areas, 4 key opportunities that well, 3, because palm oil has already been explored, I think, on a great scale. But palm kernel oil, coconut oil, and shea butter, I think, is still being grossly neglected. And my brother produces a brand of shea butter based products, and they are excellent products. And I'm saying that if more people were going to go into it, it will create more market for the women that are producing it, because they are mostly women. And then the opportunities are limitless potentially from that point on. But we're not doing that now, and I think it's the first step towards building our ability to now fall back and begin to do things, use things that are natural in our daily lives. All right, so I hope you found this useful. If you have questions or need help making use of the ideas I've shared here, feel free to reach out to me using the contact details on your screen. I wish you well.